Hello and welcome to the Kaiju is in the Details. I'm Ian.
I'm Haru.
And this time we watched the American version of Godzilla Raids again. It's possibly the worst Godzilla anything ever made, maybe. 1957. Technically, it's called Gigantis the Fire Monster. We'll get into why later. But first, Haru, what did you think of this movie?
You know what? I think it works as an audiobook.
You think it's as an audiobook? Elaborate.
You don't even need to watch the movie. The movie just tells you what happens.
As I looked out onto this thing, I was shocked and frightened by the things that were occurring. And I thought to myself, gee, that sure is scary that things are happening. And anyways, this was happening at the other time.
This movie literally doesn't believe that people watching movies are able to read what is happening in a scene if it is not told to them.
Well, see, you're not supposed to be watching the movie. You're supposed to be making out with a girl in your car while the movie plays in the background.
True.
What are you, some kind of nerd? Wouldn't watch a movie? Yeah. This is awful. This movie starts with a narration over a bunch of stock footage. Some that is nuclear tests, some that is just stock footage from other films. And then it switches to a different narrator who is also the dub voice for Tsukioka, the main character. And I don't have any information. I was trying to find information about the dub cast for this one. I couldn't find any. I don't think that they were Asian this time because, man, this sure did sound like a bunch of white people doing funny accents.
It sounded like very caricature-ish.
Yeah, it's fucking Mickey Rooney up in here, dude.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good. And then fucking, because Kobayashi has like a little bit of extra chub, they give him like a dumb guy voice, like, Hey guys, I'm gonna go do the plane stuff.
Yeah. It's like, it feels almost like it's trying to be a comedy.
Yeah.
In places.
Yeah.
Like,
it. They don't know how to dub. Like, I straight up don't think these people know how to dub.
mm-hmm.
To be fair, dubbing would have been pretty early at this point. I mean, we've only had talking films for, a couple decades at this point. So bringing films over from another country and then dubbing over them is a fairly new process. But surely you watch this and you realize how bad it is. I mean, fuck. King of the Monsters is not as bad a dub as this, right? King of the Monsters is not a great dub. A much better dub than this. Much better.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a good movie.
No, it's really not. It's like it's a good movie if you want to laugh at a bad movie.
Yeah. Honestly,
it is so bad
like,
it's good.
If you want a like solid, like poorly made old movie that you can just laugh at with your friends, it's a great movie.
Like, all the bad parts of Godzilla Raids Again are here. All the good parts are gone, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess the Osaka Castle fight's still here.
Yeah.
So that's still here. I would probably just like fucking turn it off after that, because after that it gets really boring. The only funny thing that happens after the Osaka Castle thing is the dubbing for the celebration, which we liked the celebration scene last time.
Mm-hmm.
The celebration scene was great last time. And here it is the most pathetic dubbing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
Outside of like ones like intentionally bad ones, like the the Ghost Stories anime, you know. You know, outside of that, this is like some of the worst dubbing. They're like, instead of just like pumping in the dialogue or the singing from the previous like film, they do dub over the singing, but they're like doing fucking like the
He's
saddest
a jolly
little
good
singing.
fella.
It's the saddest little rendition of "He's a Jolly Good Fellow" I've ever heard. It's incredible. But the honestly, the best things in the movie are the terrible dub lines. There was too many for me to write down all the ones that were funny. Like they added in all these little like zingers. They went to the Marvel School of Writing here. It's like when Hidemi was talking to Tsukioka, like Hidemi was like, "I'm tired," and he's like, "Not too tired to dance with." Are you getting tired? And he's like, "Not too tired to dance with you tonight." Like, what the fuck? When he finds Kobayashi on the island, Kobayashi's like, "Hey there."
Yep.
Like exactly like that, because they're trying very hard to match what they're saying to the lips of the actors. They're trying too hard to do that, and so that's how you get lines like banana oil.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Banana oil.
That's we just need to turn that into a new expression.
Banana oil.
Yeah, no, it's stuff like that makes it feel like a comedy, because there's no way this movie is taking itself seriously when it does stuff like that.
It's hard to say. So the banana oil line is supposed to be dubbing over the line Bakayaro, which is going to be a hard one to dub over. But sometimes you just got to eat shit and understand your audience isn't going to actually care if the lips don't match up perfectly in a dub.
I mean, like, so much of the movie, the voice lines don't actually match what the lips are saying, and like, whatever, fuck it, I don't care. Like,
I will say this is why anime gets dubbed a lot more often than live action films. It's so much easier to dub over the lip flaps in an anime because the lip flaps are a lot less detailed than they are in like just an actual film.
They're just like puppets.
Okay, I just found I just found some of the people who were involved in the dubbing process.
Oh?
We got Ki Luke, who is Chinese. Not Japanese. But at least he's Asian. Paul Frees, not Asian at all. From Chicago, Illinois.
Oh.
Yeah, he's like a well-known voice actor. He's like Mel Blanc level voice actor. And George Takei was in here too.
Oh, wow.
Who was he playing? I don't know if it'll say. It's not saying it where it wants me to, or I want it to say it. No, I just won't say it. But yeah, so that's who we're dealing with. We were dealing with a spread, let's say. So the thing about this movie is that they weren't going to dub this originally. What they were going to do is they were going to take the Godzilla and Anguirus footage out and make a new movie around it.
Oh.
Called The Volcano Monsters.
Okay.
And Toho actually shipped out the Godzilla suit and the Anguirus suit, so they could fill in some footage with that. And then eventually that just like fell through, and they ended up doing this instead, just like a dub.
Love it.
Yep. They've completely replaced all the music. All of the music that we praised last time is gone. Instead, we have fucking library music, canned music from other films.
Mm-hmm.
Music from such films as Kronos, Project Moonbase, and The Deer Slayer. So it's just like random ass movies.
Yeah.
Godzilla and Anguirus's roars are all mixed up too, so they've like completely replaced the audio. They've got like the Godzilla roars and the Anguirus roars, and they're just like putting them in randomly. I don't think they understood the difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if it's intentional that they just like decided to confuse the two, or if they didn't. I don't know. Godzilla's not Godzilla, it's Gigantis. They try not to refer to him as Godzilla throughout the movie, and sometimes they forget to not call him Godzilla. And in the title credits, it still calls Godzilla Raids Again. Which, by the way, actually, the name of the movie in Japanese is called Godzilla's Counterattack. I didn't mention that last time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the dub name is called Godzilla Raids Again because of that title screen at the beginning of the film.
Gotcha.
But when it was originally advertised, this dub version of it, it was called Gigantis the Fire Monster, which is what the title of the episode is going to be called. They called it Gigantis, quote, because we did not want it to be confused with Godzilla, who had been killed irreparably by the oxygenator, is what he says.
Mm-hmm.
Oxygen destroyer, he means.
Yeah, we killed Godzilla by giving him too much oxygen.
And apparently Shrievman, who is like in charge of this dub, and the original attempt to make it into a separate film, I believe, he told reporters that the original Japanese film was called Anguirus. Which is why they have such a focus on Anguirus in this film, I guess.
I guess.
Like, this movie is so confused, right? Like, they're like, oh, it's the monster you saw. It's an Ankylosaurus. It's part of the Anguirus family. And also Godzilla's an Anguirus, too.
Uh-huh.
And they're fire monsters that came from before when the Earth was all fire.
Yeah.
And then when the Earth got oceans, they came out of the wherever they hibernated to, but then it was different because they were already big, and so they dominated the planet. This movie doesn't make any goddamn sense. It doesn't. It like
it just
this is the worst dinosaur lore ever.
Yeah, it just dropped like this is like a 5-year-old's dinosaur headcanon. Like,
yeah. And you know what? It's surprisingly similar to the modern American Godzilla films, actually. Because the Titans in those films aren't like the dinosaurs, but they're like ancient creatures that lived back when Earth was radioactive. So if you just replace radioactive with fire, it's the same lore.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that fucked up?
Yeah.
Why are Americans?
I don't know.
Why are we like this? Why are we like this?
Backtracking a little bit, back to the mention of the oxygen destroyer. Something I noticed about this movie, and I don't know if it's just this movie not knowing what the fuck the oxygen destroyer was actually doing, or if this was always the case and I just completely misread the situation. But like the guy said that the oxygen destroyer suffocated Godzilla, and that's how he died?
The makers of this dub do not understand that oxygen is also inside creatures.
Yeah, because like
that's the problem.
when they use the oxygen destroyer on Godzilla, you see his fucking skeleton. Like his flesh dissolves and all that's left are the bones. That is not suffocation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're you think about this wrong. The people who made this dub did not watch the first movie. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no way. There's no fucking way.
You mean to tell me that they did not watch the American dub?
I don't think they even did that much. Yeah. Although, they did use some stock footage from the original movie, so maybe they did, and they just like completely misinterpreted what was going on there.
Mm-hmm. They
God.
just had an intern look at the source material.
This sucks. This is probably one of the worst Godzilla anythings ever, even like compared to the 1997 Godzilla, the American shit. It's all, those are movies, and this is like a butchered movie.
I'm debating in my head where I would put this compared to all the movies that we watched so far.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know if I would put it at the very bottom.
Probably not. Yeah, worst Godzilla thing, but not worst thing we've watched here. The snow creature is worse than this, I would say.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It might be the worst thing besides the snow creature, honestly. Well, Son of Kong is still pretty bad too.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but it's easily one of the worst three.
Yeah. It's stunningly bad. Here's some more fun lines from this movie. All men are like fish in a woman's net.
Mm-hmm.
Said in a very racist Japanese accent. Our buildings, our temples, and our prized Osaka castle have all been reduced to rubble. The most dangerous convicts in the country. Murderers. Thieves.
Yeah.
Thieves? Huh? Thieves? Most dangerous? Are you sure about that?
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of a fucking prison van driver, two convicts in the back. Hey, what's up? Wow, what a guy.
Yeah.
Hidemi's saying this to Tsukioka. You must watch yourself. Kobayashi saying this to Godzilla. And now you must die. You know how in the original movie Kobayashi is like trying to distract Godzilla long enough for everyone else to get there? In this one, he's gonna kill Godzilla himself in his little biplane.
Yeah.
But yeah, the biggest problem with this movie is it just refuses to ever be quiet.
Yeah. It's, although, you know what I just realized, one thing that it does do is it actually explains what the whole deal with the prisoner truck is, because
that's true. All the fucking all the stupid fucking exposition does eventually give us one piece of information we didn't get from the original movie.
Yeah. Because like everything else you just get by, watching the
goddamn
movie. But this like the whole prison truck thing is completely out of left field, out of the blue. It's like, why are they doing this prison transfer in the middle of this whole fiasco? And then it's like, oh, okay, they explained it. But yeah, no, like seriously, like the first, how long was it, like 20 minutes or so, were just nothing but narration. Like,
yeah, pretty much. It's just constant. Well, I was doing this, and then I did this, and then this thing happened, and then after that thing happened, everyone felt very sad, and then this thing happened.
It's like, I'm watching it right now. Shut up.
Fucking hell, dude. Like, I know none of these dub actors can actually like get any emotion across because of the way they're reading these lines, but like, come on, man. I can at least see what the actual actors are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I bet Paul Frees was the one doing Kobayashi, because that's like a cartoon character voice right there.
Yeah.
Gee, guys. It's funny, they kept in the fucking 3-person like love triangle thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they had Hidemi like openly flirt with Kobayashi in front of Tsukioka, and nothing came of it.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck? Like, the problem is that Godzilla Raids Again was already kind of a nothing movie that had like a bit of redeeming qualities in it. And so if you remove all that, it's nothing and it's annoying.
I
And boring.
mean, after watching this, I think we were too harsh on the Japanese version.
It does make you appreciate it more. I think an interesting phenomena with film is that, like, if the film isn't entertaining you, you're more likely to notice the flaws in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting how in this version of the film, despite the fact that all the footage is exactly the same, the Godzilla costume looks like 10 times worse.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks worse for some reason, especially when you got fucking Anguirus roars coming out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What an unfortunate thing. What an unfortunate little movie.
This is a movie that was made that people spent money on to budget.
This is the Dark Souls of watching Godzilla movies.
Yeah. This is like if it really kind of is just like if we took a Godzilla movie and put as much effort into dubbing it as Ghost Stories.
Yeah. Well, again, Ghost Stories was like they intentionally made the dub stupid and funny.
Yeah.
Everyone in the dubbing booth was laughing it up and having a good time. I don't know that was the case here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they were, but
well, possibly they were, but this time it was like them laughing at their
people
own
who wrote the dub script.
Yeah, or like maybe like just them laughing at their own racism, I guess.
Maybe
Like,
but George Takei should know. I mean, I mean, according to Takei, they were laughing especially at banana oil.
Okay. That's
So,
I mean, you know what? Banana oil is the funniest line in the entire movie.
it is actually pretty funny. Apparently Warner Brothers did buy up the distribution rights to the film eventually. At the same time, he got Teenagers from Outer Space. Wow, what a twofer. Terrible movies, both of them. I think that was in based on the thing we saw at the end with the Warner Brothers logo. I think that was in '59, which would be 2 years after the theatrical release.
Okay.
So they probably got it for TV and shit. Man, what a bad movie.
Yeah.
Really bad movie.
Also, was at the very end the scene with the army guys pushing out the barrel, like the oil barrels. Was that in the original one, or was that
yeah?
Okay, because
it's just during the boring part of the movie, so you forgot it.
That's why I didn't remember it, because I wasn't paying attention.
You're lucky I've just seen the movie a few times, so I know that was there. No, they didn't record any new things for this movie. Everything that they had in this movie is stock footage, is either from from the movie or from stock footage from other movies. Including their explanation. Like they have like footage from a bunch of crappy dinosaur movies.
Yeah.
That they used for the background of the Anguiruses. Which is apparently their term for dinosaurs as a whole. They're just like calling all dinosaurs Anguiruses or whatever.
Well, it's not just the dinosaurs. It's the like fire dinosaurs.
Yeah, the fire dinosaurs, the fire monsters, who are vicious murderers.
Yeah.
according to the scientific textbook that they had. They're vicious murderers. Also, the book said that the radiation might wake up the Anguirus family of fire monsters. It said that specifically. So the textbook knew. How did they know? How did they know?
Science.
And yeah, the stock footage that they use is just like some of the lowest rent dinosaur movies you've ever seen in your entire life. Just incredible dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you genuinely, to anyone who thinks the effects in Godzilla movies are cheesy, I beg you to watch the stock footage in this fucking Godzilla movie and see these other dinosaur movies that are in here. They're shoved in here, and how much worse they look in comparison to even the worst effects that Godzilla has to offer, which I think are in this film. Like, don't get me wrong, Godzilla has some pretty meh effects, especially depending on what movie you're in. But like, I think Godzilla Raids Again is kind of the worst of it as far as the effects go, and even then, it's still better than what we're seeing in these American dinosaur films. Kind of making me wish we did watch some of those American dinosaur films.
Yeah.
Just so we would be like, oh, that's from that, you know. But that would have taken even longer to get to Godzilla.
Yeah, no.
And we would have had to watch Jurassic Park eventually.
Mm.
And who wants to do that? No, I'm kidding. Actively antagonizing people for no reason. It's a fine film.
We're gonna get so many hate comments.
Did you notice that they randomly changed that the friends who were at the pseudo engagement party for Tsukioka were, instead of being from the same university he went to, were from the Air Force, the Air Corps?
No, I did not notice that because I didn't listen to any of the conversation at all during that scene.
Well, I noticed it. It's not very interesting, but I kind of stopped taking notes after a while because I was just bored out of my mind. There was nothing interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another good line. This is going to be all in the take, so I'm going to try and replicate the way that the guy dubbing over Dr. Yafune. What was it? Yafune?
I don't remember.
Mafune. Wait. Yamane. Sorry, Mafune is I keep getting this mixed up. Dr. Mafune is a character from a later Godzilla film.
Okay.
Dr. Yamane is the one from the original Godzilla film.
Yeah.
Mafune is from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. The Terror of Mechagodzilla is what it's called. Anyways, Dr. Yamane says when the guys point out the Anguirus in the dinosaur picture book, Dr. Yamane is like, "This is bad. This is bad." Like, he just does it twice in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them, he puts the emphasis on the "is" for some reason. It's all because they're like desperately attempting to match these lip flaps.
Mm-hmm.
They're like slavishly devoted to it, to the point that they end up saying ridiculous things or saying like not ridiculous things in ridiculous ways.
Yep.
Also, they definitely do call Godzilla from the first film the first Anguirus.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this film is just like all over the place as far as like whether they're Anguirus or Godzilla or Gigantis or Anguillosaurus.
Okay, but like, could you imagine a universe where, like, after this movie released, Godzilla in Japan was still referred to as Godzilla, but Godzilla in the US, just like colloquially for the future of the Godzilla franchise, was just Anguirus.
And every time they brought over the Japanese version of the film, they had to swap out Godzilla's roar with Anguirus's.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. It would never happen because that sucks, and this movie sucks. So nobody watched it. At least not here.
Yeah.
At least not here. Oh, I just found something fun.
Oh?
I found a little fun fact on Wikipedia. Ishiro Honda noted that reviews for Godzilla Raids Again were more positive compared to the previous film, stating that it was considered stupid by the media for a director to add ideas or themes into a science fiction film, he commentated. What?
It's okay. It's stupid to be creative.
Quote, "That's why I think that the first Godzilla was only considered a weird movie. That's probably why they like the second movie much better." Did they?
What?
Are you sure? I mean, he would know better than. Well, actually, hold up. Ishiro Honda, are you reading reviews of your films? You shouldn't be doing that shit, dog. That's bad for your brain. And if you're not, how the fuck would you know?
Yeah, Ishiro Honda is just scrolling through Twitter and being like, "Oh, this is what people are saying about Godzilla."
Why do they keep calling my movie weird? That's fucked up. I guess I'll never put themes or ideas into a movie again. Well, no, he doesn't do that. He just says like, "Oh, I guess I don't like that. Well, I'm going to keep doing it." Film historian Steve Rifle, fun name right there. Spells with Y. F. It's like rifle, but with a Y. Noted that some writers felt that while Godzilla 1954 was a metaphor for the Hiroshima bombing, Godzilla Raids Again serves as a metaphor for the Nagasaki bombing. I don't think that's true, dog.
I mean, only in the most literal sense of one comes after the other.
It's the second one. It's the second Godzilla.
That's the only. That's
the first
only
Godzilla
connection.
is the first bomb. The second Godzilla must be the second bomb.
Yeah.
I'm a smart person. I review films for a living.
Oh my god!
I swear to God, some film critics just turn their brains off when they have to watch a movie that's not American.
I mean, I turned my brain off when I had to watch this movie.
Well, this movie was all American, baby. They took that Japanese beef and they turned it into a fucking hamburger.
Let's go.
This movie sucks, dude. It's so raw. I'm so frustrated by it. It's when we were watching the movie, you asked me like, is the whole movie gonna have this narration?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I literally just couldn't respond to you. I just had to go. I fucking gave you a goddamn Riddler laugh. I was the fucking jonker. I'm probably never gonna watch this again, frankly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of Godzilla Raids Again to begin with. So it's not like something I gravitate towards to watch. But the American version is like unwatchably bad.
Yeah.
Shout Factory, Tokushoutsu specifically, used to have a 24/7 like Godzilla streaming channel.
Mm-hmm.
Where they would just stream Godzilla movies for free on YouTube and on Pluto. And that's gone now for some reason. Probably just a rights issue. Very annoying. They got the Criterion Collection versions of the films usually, but they also had some of the American recuts, which if I remember correctly are not preserved by the Criterion Collection currently. I could be wrong on that. But they do have the American version of Raids Again in there, and man, I have seen it fairly recently, so I already knew about all this going in, and man, it was one I would just nah, I'm not watching this. It would be one where I would just turn it off and like go watch something else. It was that and the oh, what is it called? Is it Godzilla's Revenge? The one where Minya first makes an appearance. You're not going to get this, Haru, but the audience might. But that one, not because the movie is bad, but because they played it over and over and over again. It was just too much. I didn't want to see it that many times. Yeah. So here we are at the about 40-minute mark. And we're out of things to say because this movie gave us nothing.
Yeah. I mean,
give us nothing, Queen.
I guess like the one last thing that I haven't mentioned was the like they did like an actual flashback to the first movie when they were talking about how they managed to defeat the first Godzilla or the first Anguirus.
Yeah, the first Anguirus, who was also the first Godzilla.
Like they showed like actual footage from the first movie, and that was the thing that they did, you know.
Yeah. And then they put their shitty American music library shit on it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all American movie composers are bad. I'm just saying the ones that they have in their fucking library are. It's just generic ass sci-fi movie music.
I feel like I had like one last thing to say about this movie, but I can't remember what it was. And honestly, I don't think it was even that important to say.
Yeah.
It's a bad movie.
It is. Really bad. If you were involved with the making of this film, you should be ashamed. That's right, George Takei. I'm coming after you. Like, when we were talking about Godzilla Raids Again, I was like, yeah, it's not a great film, but it is very influential for like what it establishes for Godzilla films.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really say the same about this. Like, I want to be like, oh, but it does solidify the fact that they're gonna keep bringing the Godzilla films over to America. But no, like they are, but like this one seems like a pretty big flop in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, we don't currently live in the timeline where we refer to Godzilla as Anguirus here in the US, so like clearly this movie flopped.
And you know, we got Godzilla versus King Kong around the corner, and that's going to be a much bigger hit. Probably. I don't actually know what the critical response to that in America was, but it's got King Kong in it, so it's got to be better than this.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah. You know what? It's like the mention of Godzilla versus King Kong just kind of like a realization just hit me that like, oh my gosh, Godzilla and King Kong are canonically in the same universe.
Yeah.
Like, we've watched King Kong movies and we've watched Godzilla movies, and those are the same canonical universe.
Well, yeah, kind of. You'll see what I mean when we get to that movie. But we're not actually going to get there for quite some time. We're currently we're in 1957, but we're going to go back to 1955 because we just came to 1957 for a little vacation to watch the dub here.
You call it a vacation.
We're going to be going back to 1955 for a while now. We have a lot of American sci-fi films because we're in the big swing of American sci-fi. It's the 50s, baby. American cheap budget ass B movie sci-fi films are all the rage, and some of them are in fact kaiju.
Oh my gosh.
Next time we're watching King Dinosaur, which yes does sound like a fucking dinosaur film, but I promise it's not quite. It's not quite one of those. It is a very bad film though. Don't worry about that.
Is it worse than this one though?
It might be. It might be. Like it's Haru, it's bad. I don't know how to break this to you. It is bad. And you know what the worst part is like most of these American films are going to be really bad.
Mm-hmm.
American films do not put in the budget or thought to make good kaiju films, because to them kaiju films are a profit driven thing, right?
Yeah.
So if you put in that kind of effort, that costs more money.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
You don't need to. When you could, you're just gonna throw it into a double feature with some other film and make it a drive-in feature that people aren't gonna watch anyways.
Yeah.
So look forward to that. Yeah, the upcoming attractions. Ooh, I like that upcoming attractions here at the Kaiju and the Details. It is King Dinosaur next, and then It Came From Beneath the Sea. That's a classic. And then we actually go back to Japan briefly for the Half Human.
Oh.
And then there's a recut of the Half Human, an American recut made in 1957. Does that sound familiar? And then we go back to America for Tarantula. And then we get Beast of Hollow Mountain, which is another American film, but it's actually a really fun one. And then after that, we get Rodan. And that'll be nice.
I feel like I recognize half of those movie names.
Well, maybe you recognize Half Human, huh?
I actually don't recognize that one.
Oh. Well, actually, that makes sense. It's a Japanese movie, so it's a little bit more... That's not Godzilla, so it's a little bit more obscure.
Mm-hmm.
Rodan's a classic Godzilla monster. He's going to appear in his own film first, and then never again. He's always going to be a Godzilla monster from here on out. He's my favorite kaiju.
Okay.
He gets no respect at all. King Dinosaur is a bit of a dinosaur movie, but the dinosaurs aren't actually dinosaurs. They're lizards with shit glued on them. It Came From Beneath the Sea is an octopus film.
Mm-hmm.
Giant octopus monster. Tarantula is.
If I've seen that one actually, because
maybe
maybe it was either one that I saw with you at some point, or it was an old movie that my family rented from a video store one time.
It wouldn't be with me. I haven't put that on the channel before.
Okay.
Or on the podcast, obviously, because we're getting to it.
So it must have been a video store then.
For me, I actually saw that in a theater.
Oh.
Funnily enough, so there's a museum around here that used to do like a natural history museum that used to do sci-fi movie nights of giant monsters. Usually, they did Godzilla versus Mothra.
Mm-hmm.
They did Rodan, I believe, at one point. And they also did It Came From Beneath the Sea at one point. In their little theater space. So I did see it there. They would also do like little giveaways. And they gave away a bottle of Godzilla branded soy sauce.
Oh
and this
my
was
gosh.
This is like in the early 90s, late 90s, I mean, early 2000s. So this is like, it's Godzilla 1984 branded got soy sauce. It's like the 90s era Godzilla, 80s 90s era Godzilla brand, because the 2000s era Godzillas hadn't come out yet. And I didn't actually win it. Some guy won it, and he gave it to me because I was like a little kid
Aww.
who really, really fucking loved Godzilla.
That's actually kind of sweet.
I still have the bottle. It's literally in my room right now. I can point to it. Bing bong. And that was like, at that time, soy sauce was like not particularly common in America. Like, at least as far it was a little bit harder to find everywhere.
Yeah.
Japanese food was like just becoming like a thing people were into. Like telling people you love sushi back then, which I did as a kid. I even had sushi at a birthday party once. Like we catered it with sushi. But like that was like strange to people. They're like, raw fish. Like all my fucking grandparents were like, oh okay.
I mean, sushi's good.
It is. We had to have something different for I don't actually remember this, but we would have had something different for my grandfather on my mother's side, because he actually doesn't eat rice because they look like maggots. He just like has like this disconnect there he doesn't like noodles or rice because they look like worms or maggots.
Okay.
Yep, it's just a little disconnect in his little Appalachian brain. He comes from the fucking. He's not even like a boomer. He's like older than a boomer. He's greatest generation.
Oh
like,
my god.
So that's how fucking old he is.
Dude has never seen rice before in his entire life.
I mean, he has now, but like, he didn't see it for so long. He's like, and you have to understand, like, living in the Appalachia was like being at least like 5 years behind everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
and like, eventually the dude lived like a very crazy life. Like he fucking did skydiving in Vegas. He met Johnny Cash and shit because he was like a roadie. He like did a lot of shit eventually, but he just never had he had this like disconnect with like rice and noodles and good politics. Anyways. So yeah, that's like kind of the something we're gonna have to like kind of reckon with when we get to this. There's like an era of kaiju film where they're not even coming to America anymore. Because it's just not profitable to bring them over because nobody gives a shit about them. Because they're just like to them they're just these little cheesy Japanese movies.
Yeah.
Because Americans for like a long time, and going back to when my grandfather was, growing up, he was not like looking at that shit with any kind of like interest at all. Like it was just weird foreign shit to them, and that includes the movies.
Yeah.
And it gets worse when these movies are like being designed for kids, and so then it makes it easier to be like, this is just some stupid bullshit.
Sounds somewhat familiar to like the era when it wasn't cool to like anime, and it was just like, well, why do you like that? It's from Japan. It's weird. It's like it's made for kids.
Yeah.
Like,
except like more jingoistic even than
yeah.
that. But yeah, it's definitely like that, because there was I mean, that's like what you're talking about is like the anime backlash, like in the wake of like this would have been like when we were teenagers, probably, maybe like basically when Viz Media starts to go out of business, and they stop being able to put out as much of the manga that they were doing. And so then you're in this like dire situation where there's no like, I mean, I guess animes come in like 3 waves, or like the original OVA wave, where you're getting all these ultra-violent OVAs and ultra-violent pornographic and then some other things coming in randomly. Just because, like, those ultra-violent and pornographic ones were doing really well. Sometimes they do licensing deal where they get like, oh, they get this one too,
Mm-hmm.
So they're bringing in all these OVAs then, and then that kind of slows down as the OVA market crashes. And then we start getting more series, and then the series start to like pick up as we get like the Pokemon boom and the Yu-Gi-Oh boom and all that stuff. And then there's a crash again, like when like Viz Media dies. And then now we're in the modern era where it's like, I think basically too big to fail. It's less of a genre and more of just an import now.
Yeah.
Because it used to be like anime was like considered a genre, and so it could have like a boom and bust cycle instead of it being such a large media like field
Yeah,
with
like
genres inside it.
we're yeah, like we've got like American studios doing their best to replicate like the style because they want in on that profit, and like we've got we're in the era where streaming services are like a much bigger deal, and unfortunately the situation with anime is most of it is owned by like a monopoly on like the anime industry through
It's about to get really worse
yeah.
because Sony's trying to buy up Katakawa.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Katakawa owns most of everything. Sony owns a lot of shit. If Sony buys Katakawa, Sony owns like the vast majority of the anime market and light novel.
Aren't there supposed to be like rules against companies becoming monopolies?
Japan has very different monopoly laws, as I've explained on the podcast before. And even the ones over here don't work so well.
Yeah. Tell that to Google and Disney and
like how the fuck was Disney able to buy Fox? Like,
yeah.
that one should not have been allowed. Searchlight should still be fucking away from the mouse. Give me Searchlight back. God damn it. We've yapped for 20 minutes about not the movie.
Yeah. Maybe next time we'll have more to talk about the actual movie.
I think we will.
I mean, part of it is that this was mostly just a rewatch, and we just had like a few things to complain about.
Yeah, they didn't change. I mean, they changed a lot, but they didn't change what happened in the film.
Mm-hmm.
They changed how it's presented, which I think is worth talking about, but maybe wasn't worth a full episode of its own. But there's only one way to find that out, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, next time King Dinosaur, I do think King Dinosaur, despite being a bad film, there's a lot to talk about there. It's a strange one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to discussing it, which is why I included it, even though it's kind of on the edge of a dinosaur versus a monster film. Look, I have to draw the lines where there have to be a line drawn somewhere, and it might as well be exactly where I want it to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's your podcast. You get to draw the line.
It's my podcast. I'll dance if I wanna. But yeah, we actually, looking at the list coming up, it's a heavy representation of American films coming up, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we don't actually get the King Kong versus Godzilla, which is the next time Godzilla's going to show up, until we get to 1962. So we're not going to be seeing Godzilla again for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 episodes from now, we'll see Godzilla again.
It's gonna feel like an Elder Scrolls fan waiting for Elder Scrolls 6 to come out.
But at least we have people like we have guests like Rodan and Mothra to tide us over. And Varan, don't forget Varan. He's another Godzilla-verse kaiju.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully some of these American films will be good. Some of them won't, but some of them might be good. But yeah, that's the outlook. That's my forecast for the next couple of episodes. So I guess with that in mind, let's do our plugs and say goodbye to Godzilla, because we're not going to see him for a while.
Yeah.
And we already said goodbye to Anguirus last time. You can find this show. Thanks for watching, by the way. You can find this show wherever podcasts are, including the YouTube channel Them Pod Ian, where all podcasts that I make are found. You can watch it there, give it a like, share, subscribe, and you can also listen to it on your podcast app of choice and give it a review. Those kind of things, and also just sharing it around, is really helpful. It's a little hard to get out there. A bi-weekly podcast does not do particularly well on the YouTube algorithm, and then other podcasting apps just don't have algorithms to begin with. So getting the word out is really important, and we really appreciate everyone who does so. You are what make the podcast possible. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Haru, where can people find you?
I am Haru Hayes. I'm on the main social medias for me are like Blue Sky and Discord. I'm also, I do have a YouTube channel, which I need to get back into actually using. And I stream on Twitch occasionally. Ian and I are actually doing a every other week we do a stream on my channel where I play Valkyria Chronicles, and Ian makes fun of me for being shit at the game. So if that sounds like fun to you, go check that out every other Friday. And yeah, you can find me in all those places at Haru Hayes, except for Blue Sky, where I'm haru.vspire.live. Yeah, I think that's about it.
And I'm Thempyrean. You can find me wherever you want to find me at Thempyrean. You know, Tomb of Thempyrean for VODs and Let's Plays, Thempodian for podcasts, and Thempyrean for video essays. And in Blue Sky. I'm on Blue Sky. You can find me on Blue Sky and Twitch. It's all Thempyrean. Easy enough. Are you ready to say goodbye to Godzilla for 26 episodes?
I'm ready.
Sayonara, Godzilla.
Sayonara, Godzilla.
I cannot wait to see you again, Godzilla. Please come back, Godzilla. Please, please, please.